Oi, oi, everyone. How are we all doing? I've got Big Fazz here. We've got Watford, Liverpool, two teams we don't care about. How are you doing,
Yeah,
Fazzy?
yeah, no, really good, really good. Kids are in bed, wife's at work. It's a Saturday night. Football's back. Got to be happy with that.
It's great, isn't it? As people stream into the stream, I mean, it's great because international soccer for Aussies is a bit crap in it because it's like 5 a.m.
Yeah, yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, the qualifying stuff depends on if it's a big game. Yeah, you'll get up and see it, but um, yeah, the qualifiers, yeah, they're a bit of a hit and miss sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get motivated because I'm like you, I watch every game in the league. But like, I debate sometimes looking at the World Cup qualifiers. Like, I got up for Scotland Israel, which was a nail biter. But like, it is quite hard, like getting up for Moldova versus Lithuania, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not ideal. I watched a few of the Socceroos ones, but you know, you just yeah, it's all about the big tournaments or the EPL or
No, I
the
agree
league
with you.
games.
Thank you very much. The gorgeous Lana has subscribed purely because Faz is on. Faz is Faz is good looking.
But
Good day to you, Andrew. Beachy. Big Hashem, how you doing, mate? Big Ari. If anyone checks out Stat Insider, Ari is a writer for them. Some really good opinion pieces. He's just done one on Leeds United. Really interesting. Can this bloke blow some bubbles? You're clever, Andy. Clever.
yeah, I've got the bubble machine just out the back, so maybe if results go the way, just have them going on. That'd be awesome.
And Big Nathan, come on, you Reds. Also, a man who's Cowton as well. He does a Cowton rap. Real good opinion pieces too. So there you are. Look that. You
Good
get
man.
free marketing here at Probably Knows.
Love that. Love that. So, what are you thinking for this game? I know you
I,
did
I'm,
your predictions earlier, but
I'm hoping Liverpool run riot because I'm against a good mate of mine, Big Alex Khalifa. We do our fantasy football rap every week. We're against each other in our league. So I am pinning a lot of hopes on Mo Salah here as captain.
yeah, yeah, and I think the interesting watch with Ranieri taken over, which I don't know, it was a bit of a surprise for me. Um, but I guess Watford being newly promoted, they haven't really started that fantastically. Although the league table suggests, oh yeah, they're doing okay, but their results haven't been great. Their fixtures are only going to get harder. They've lost some pretty you know games that they would expecting to be getting points from.
They're they're a tough side to watch. They are a real tough side, to kind of like pin down on what they're going to do. I always find when you look at them as a side, like they've got some real good talent in that side, haven't they? Like, you've got Sarr, you've got Dennis as well, who signed from Club Brugge. Like, they've got on paper a side. Like, Ranieri is a tough one, isn't he? Because you always remember the Leicester Premier League, which was wonderful football, wasn't it? Really, he blueprinted how to beat the best, but can he do it again? Because the pressure's on now. People expect it again, don't they? They expect now Watford to be top four in 20 in a year's time.
Yeah, well, you just hear the name Ranieri, and I think that expectation is not going to be great for Watford, the supporters or the club. You're right. Even Sissoko, they've got some really good players out there. Um, but yeah, it's a different gravy, different
Well, I
gravy.
mean, people are going to expect it as well, aren't they? Now, they're going to sit back. He's going to. I mean, he has got the players. To be fair, Dennis is quick. He's like the Audi version of Jamie Vardy, but it's a weird one. And this is a great question from Hasham.
Oh,
Something a good talking point. Newcastle playing fantasy football, $1.3 billion, the richest chairman. I mean, it's crazy. His wealth is more than Man United, Man City, and Chelsea put together, which
ridiculous.
is scary. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, my initial thoughts were Newcastle are going to want to hope they survive the end of the season, because it'll be pretty hilarious if they're in the championship with the richest owners. My second thought was, for the Newcastle fans, it's just not going to happen. It just doesn't happen like that. Money can obviously buy the players, but the facilities, the structure, building the conglomerates and all that takes time. But yeah, look, it's better to have money than not have money. That's for sure. It'll be very interesting when obviously they'll spend big in January, obviously, but geez, if they're in a relegation scrap by January, spending big doesn't necessarily mean it's all going to come together. So that's a big watch this space on them.
I'm looking forward to them getting relegated and then seeing Messi, Ronaldo line up
Oh,
against,
man.
Wycombe Wanderers away, on a cold Wednesday night. But
Yeah.
no, seriously, I think you're lucky. One thing I always say, Arab owners are fantastic because they build from the ground up. So, like, you look at City, they've spent millions on infrastructure. That academy is thriving as well now. They've got some top talent. Paris Saint-Germain, the same as well. So, great thing for Newcastle is that they have that dream, don't they? A Geordie hero. Chances are, in a decade's time, you're going to get a Geordie hero. They're going to plough money into the infrastructure, and I genuinely have a soft spot for Newcastle because their fans are the best crack you can ever have away. Real nice fans. So they've had a bit of a shit time. It's nice to see.
And they're one of the the old school teams as well. When you're talking about Premier League, those old school teams. But I think it's a good thing. I'm very interested to see if they start building a conglomerate style like the Manchester City group and what they've done in Australia. And not that I want to get on the A League or anything, but there's no coincidence that the Melbourne City and the young players are absolutely thriving because they got Manchester City coaches, effectively. So I'm wondering if in 5, 10, however many years' time, whether it'll be a similar situation. I mean, there is a team Newcastle in the A League. Is that going to
Newcastle
evolve
Jets, you
into
can see it, can't
yeah?
you? You can see
You
them
can,
merge.
oh, mate, they'll change them straight away, and they're black and white stripes, perfect. It'd be beautiful. But I wonder if a similar thing will happen. And but it's going like we're talking years ahead. But going back to what it is now, I'm excited. I'm glad that it's a team like Newcastle that got this. Do you know, if it was a team like Liverpool or Arsenal or someone like that, it'd be like, okay, yeah, more of the same. At least Newcastle gives you that little bit of difference, a little bit of, okay, all right, I could get on board with this. I could enjoy this. Kind of hoping it was West Ham, but you can't have everything.
I've got a feeling it will. Cheers, Bella. Very kind words, my darling. Much love. I've got a feeling that what this is going to do is I could actually see a future where you've got 16 sides owned by these because it's starting to become a real popular thing, particularly in that Qatar area, in the Gulf. They are really hot on this kind of like sport franchise thing. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before you see your West Hams, your Evertons, your Leicester Cities bought by these big, big, big wealthy people because they have such a big competition internally. I know the owner of Man City, he owns racehorses and he's got a prince friend that buys racehorses purely so they can have a competition between themselves. So it's only a matter of time, I can see, before you've got 20 teams owned by multi-billionaires for banter, using these as like a little investment.
Yeah, and I think obviously the more teams that are owned by billionaires, it actually evens it out as well. Of course, you don't have just the one superpower or super team. It starts evening it out. So if anything, Newcastle might start making Manchester City be honest. Keep them honest. You can't just be throwing thousands or hundreds of millions of pounds or whatever to players because you're not the richest anymore. So it might start bringing these big clubs back to reality a little bit, hopefully. But yeah, a lot can change in 10 years' time. Newcastle win a league, it'd be huge. It'd be awesome.
I can't wait for them to spend 75 million on Coutinho. I can't wait. You know it's happening.
yeah, it's happening.
G'day to you, Jimmy. G'day, Rafi. What are the predictions, says Rafi? I'm going 3-0 Liverpool. Straight off the bat.
Yep. All right. I'm going to go 3-1.
Well,
And
they
I
have
think,
got a new kid in goal.
and I think Watford will take the lead. There you go. 3-1 with Watford taking the lead and Liverpool scoring the 3.
Well, they're just about to kick off. They're taking the knee. G'day to you, Corey. Newcastle fella richer than the top 10 owners in the world put together. That is scary, isn't it? To be fair, it is. I mean, the guy's got a lot of cash. Like, let's be honest.
Money to burn. I just
we're doing well, Corey.
Yeah, I just like a big shout out to Corey. He's a fella I know and coming across to Pommy and Oz. So welcome, Corey. Hope you can give us much banter as what you would previously. So good to have you, Corey. He's a Arsenal man too.
Arsenal. I mean, to be fair, the Friday fixtures are changing, so there's probably a good chance we get an Arsenal one.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, this game, because it's conflict of styles. Pay Salah what he's worth, for God's sake. Tell you what, it would be awesome, wouldn't it, if Newcastle, as Salah gets the ball here, have a sniff at some of the top talent.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can see, because that's what City did, didn't they? When there was a good player out of contract, or like with Robinho. Oh, here's Salah.
Yeah.
Oh!
Offside.
Tell you, as he was doing it, but that's what City did. You remember with Robinho? He was having them issues with his contract, wouldn't sign, would he sign? And then they snuck in. Yeah. So you can see that happening.
Yeah, and I think I'm not too sure if they'll sign, the biggest names in the world like Haaland and all that. I'm not too sure if they'll look at those types, but they'll certainly get that tier below. You might see the return of some big names to the Premier League. It's a long cry of an injured Andy Carroll coming off the bench.
Surely they have a sniff at Harry Kane.
Oh, surely, 100%. That's exactly who I was thinking. I tell you what, mate, Salah is on today.
He knows he's captain of POM FC. Yeah. He's going for it.
He got the memo before the game.
I've got to say, Ben Foster's got a YouTube channel. If anyone watches it, Goalkeeper, the Premier League Goalkeeper, I think it is, the football goalkeeper. It is really solid content. But he does fantasy, and I'm pretty sure he had to I'm sure he was saying he had to take Salah out of his team because the football rules, they're not allowed to have someone against them or the team. Like, imagine captaining him and then being like, oh, it's all right though, he's scored.
It's the whole gambling side of it, isn't it? That's funny.
Probably, Newcastle will sniff around with these new owners. I mean, they'll be sniffing. As long as they keep the hands off Steven Gerrard. I saw his odds were cut this morning as coach. Hands off Stevie G. He's mine.
Well, someone actually, a media person in Rafa Benitez's pre-game interview, I actually asked him if he's linked to the Newcastle job again. So, although that was pretty funny.
Yeah, there's some weird names on there though. Like there's Potter. I know Potter's done a great job with Brighton, but I mean, surely if you were a multi-billionaire, he wouldn't be anywhere near my top 10.
They're not getting an English manager. I wouldn't have thought.
Jose Mourinho's been sounded out, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah, I think that's the exact opposite of what they would need personally.
Well, because that chick, when she's taking it over, because she's like the spokesperson, she said that they want to play a real positive, exciting, entertaining brand. And I'm like, why the fuck are you going for Jose then?
So Mourinho. But I think, you and I both have the same opinion with Eddie Howe. Imagine he got the opportunity. He'd be insane. He'd get the opportunity, he plays good football, the opportunity to have big money, big players. That'd be huge. I reckon. I think I've convinced myself that's the way to go. But I still think, like a manager like Pochettino, maybe. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
I think Sam should get it. Big Sam.
Big Sam. Oh, he actually. He might be the manager by Christmas if they're still in the bottom three. So
I'd love to see what Sam Allardyce would do if you gave him an open checkbook. Like, because he's got his brand of football. It works
yeah,
really well. Like, imagine just saying to him, you know what, you can have anyone, mate. You can have anyone. And
he would.
imagine Messi playing long ball, like being off the shoulder.
Sam Allardyce would go and find the tallest striker in the world, buy him, and then the two roughest centre backs in the world, buy them, and then that's his team.
Well, he'd get Pepe and Ramos, wouldn't he then?
Yeah, 100%.
And he'd definitely buy Haaland because Haaland's like 9'8".
Yeah.
He'd
Oh,
love Haaland.
yeah. Who wouldn't?
How many pies did the new owners pay Ashley? It was a fair few pies, wasn't it? It was a lot of cash.
Yeah. But did you see he's linked to wanting to buy Derby now?
Yeah. A good mate of mine's Derby County fan, and he's heartbroken at the moment because they are bankrupt.
They're in trouble. Yeah.
And when he saw it was Ashley, he was like, "No, we'll stay bankrupt. We'll stay bankrupt for a bit."
Yeah, right.
I was like, "You can't be a beggar, bro. You need the money."
Yeah.
Big Alan's nervous about this game. All the ingredients for a perfect storm. All clubs always get a bit of a G up, don't they, when they get a new coach?
Worldwide, all sports, you see it all the time.
It's like the quickest way to buy 3 points.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think it's a good signing, Ranieri, for Watford. Obviously, you're not going to be expecting miracles, for a little while. He's got to put his print on the game, on their game style. But he's a quality manager. He's proven. But who was that said they were worried about this game? I mean, Liverpool all over him at the moment, so I wouldn't be too stressed.
I've got to say, Ranieri plays so deep that the way that Liverpool play, you're playing into their hands because they've got so much space in between midfield.
Dangerous.
Like they're
Very
having a
dangerous.
field day.
Yeah.
G'day, Arben. We're doing well, my friend. And good day to you, Lana. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Much love, my darling. We're 7 minutes in, and it has literally been Liverpool, hasn't it? It is.
Yeah.
It'd be great to be a Liverpool fan at the moment because this is.
If you love Liverpool,
easy.
It's glorious.
I mean, look how far Alexander Arnold is up. Like they've got a centre back, Matip there. He's playing where a scam usually plays. They are camped in.
Yeah, but then, like you said before, that's how Ranieri plays. I'm sure it'll work against other teams, but Liverpool's probably not the team you want to be playing like that against.
Well, it is the antichrist of Leicester City's style of play, isn't it? Because they just love pressing.
Yeah, and I think you'll see. I think Leicester City play better football now than what they did in the league winning season. But you just ask the question: do you want to play attractive football, or do you want to win the league? So. I know what I want.
Because I'm old school. That 4-4-2, the long ball over the top. Like I was salivating at Leicester's games. Oh, Salah, what a ball!
Oh. I don't know if you didn't see that ball.
He is probably the best player in the world.
That's sick.
Today, at the moment, on form.
Yeah. That's,
outside of the peg. What a ball.
So 1-0 Liverpool. So my prediction was wrong. I said 3-1 Watford, that Watford would score first. He is onside, I think. But what a ball. I mean,
that is perfect.
Assist of the season.
Oh, I mean, that was weighted like a dream. That's the Marilyn Monroe of weight, I tell you. Perfect. Absolute drilled.
Yeah.
Great finish as well, to be fair, by Mane.
Yeah, good finish. And that was vintage Liverpool. That's just what they do. I still can't believe the ball.
I wish United would do that. Play that quick.
Yeah, well, Mane, what a player. He does play second fiddle to Salah, obviously, but he's a bang on gun player, and that ball, I can't get over that ball outside of the boot.
That you don't want that as a centre back, do you?
Oh No way. You just know. You just know where it's going. So, and now look, it'll be interesting. Now, early on in the game, 10 minutes in, 1-0 down. What does Ranieri do now? You can't sit back now. They've got to push forward. They've got to maybe loosen up a bit. I saw him before on the screen. Look at that possession, 84% Liverpool possession. That's ridiculous. We saw him before. He was like, compact. But this
It
game has
doesn't really
this.
work with bowls like that, though.
Nah. This this has the potential to be a blowout, a massive blowout if Watford don't change something up. So.
I'll be watching the United game with Mrs. Pom. I'll be in bed. We have an early start tomorrow. So Salah is the Walsh of the EPL. He probably is. He is.
Yeah, good call.
Rafi says he's the best in the Premier. I'd go as far to say I've watched a lot of football this year. I'd say he's the best on form in the world at the moment. Like I would say if he went on the transfer market, people would sell organs to get him to the club.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, I agree. I think he's certainly the best at the moment on form. Just his consistency as well. I mean, it's about 4 seasons in a row. He's just been insanely good. So
unbelievable. Chelsea let him go as well. Like you just think about that. Oh, it could be another one.
Save.
Oh, tell you what. It's not really. I can't really big myself up because I've got Salah as captain because I think that's the most obvious choice in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not a hard choice.
Got Salah as captain, it looks like the greatest decision in the history of the world already in 10 minutes.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He's so good, man.
So I mean, Chelsea have a history though. They've let a lot of good players go.
Yeah, De Bruyne was there, wasn't he? I wonder. I wonder why that happened. Like, I wonder. Like, I know obviously at the time that midfield was stacked. To be fair, but surely he must have shown some signs.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same across the board. I mean, they let Lukaku go, and now they've got him back. I know he was a youngster, but they let Declan Rice go, and now he's probably one of the best CDMs going around. So, it's just not that I don't think he'd get in ahead of Kante anyway, but yeah, they just seem to have a habit. Like a lot of clubs let good players go, but there just seems to be a hell of a lot that Chelsea just seem to let go.
I do think as well when you go back through them periods of time, I do have a feeling that with Jose there, he's never been a fan of youth, has he?
Yeah,
he's always been that kind of we'll stick with what we know and play the youths in Carabao Cup. Oh, I forgot what it was called. And the Worthington Cup was it called? I remember it had some few names when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, it's had some Carling Cup as well.
See, I always remember it as the Coca-Cola Cup.
Yeah.
That was my favourite. That was the best form of League Cup.
But also with the way Mourinho plays as well, and it sounds stupid, but in the way he plays, a player like Salah and De Bruyne wouldn't get in the way he plays. So that makes sense. But also, they're not defensive enough. But I think it was probably around the time where they had that back-to-back league titles and stuff. So yeah,
it was a tough time. What position did I play? Well, Big Fazz would have been my rival. He would have been a centre back. I used to play centre forward. I was a striker. So that was my position. I was Peter Crouch before Peter Crouch was a thing. I also played rugby as well. I used to play inside centre in both league and union. So I had to play both. So yeah, I was a crafty inside winger. The Russian billionaire used to buy players to make his son happy. But I'll tell you what, would it be great to be in that position to buy a football club and just buy players? Would it be great?
Living the dream. It's just like Football Manager and FIFA just come to life.
Mate, I am so looking forward to Football Manager 22 coming out.
Yeah.
And just doing a Newcastle save with
Oh,
1.8 billion and just throwing money at
just
players.
going ridiculous. Yeah, nah, not wrong. But in
Just
response to
throw
that
money
question,
at problems.
yeah. But the response to that question, he wouldn't be the only owner. I know for a fact that one of West Ham's owners, David Sullivan, he actually gets his son to do his like almost scouting or like refers to him before he signs a player. Like, what do you think of him? And there was a famous story where his son begged his dad, do not sign Robert Snodgrass. Like, begged him, don't sign him. He's no good. He's no good. And we signed him, and he was actually okay, obviously. But yeah, it's a famous story. Like, tweeted everything like, we don't want him. Don't sign him, Dad. Don't sign him. And like, the
To be
poor
fair,
bloke's cut.
he's spot on. I'm a big fan of Snodgrass. He's an
Yeah,
international for us. But I
yeah,
tell you what, how he's ever played Premier League is beyond me. Is
yeah,
beyond
yeah.
me.
Not wrong. Look, good fella to have in the dressing room, I'm sure. But it was just so funny. The poor bloke rocks up to a club knowing the owner's sons didn't want him. Yeah, very funny.
Yeah, but he's got to be, no disrespect to him, but the slowest winger I've ever like.
Slow,
I
eh?
actually reckon I could beat him over 100 meters,
The
and that's
he's
bad.
got the turning circle of the Titanic, mate. He's just he's slow, killer left peg though. But
He's
it was
also
only
got the
good.
spatial awareness of my nana parallel parking. Like honestly,
Yeah,
he is appalling.
yeah, yeah. But look, he scored a couple of worldies, no loss.
Tell you
But
what,
he's
outside the edge of the area, kid's a
mm,
beast.
well,
If he had a 30 yarder for my life, I'd pick Snoddy.
yeah,
Oh, great ball!
yeah.
Oh,
But he what is he? Is he kicking around at West Brom still these days? I think.
don't know. I mean,
Yes,
he
yeah. I
hasn't made
think
the Scotland team for a long time.
yeah,
So
no,
I mean,
he's still at West Brom.
he
So
can't be doing
yeah,
much.
no. Well, yeah, obviously hanging around in the championship.
Well, I mean, Liverpool, they've quietened down, haven't they, the last five? They've kind of just gone into their hold the game. But, I mean, it is all Liverpool. I mean, I think the
Yeah,
only time Watford have collected the ball is to get the ball back for a throw-in.
yeah.
Like, this is the situation where Ranieri, it's going to be interesting what he does because he can't go on like this because if he goes on like this could be 10, 11, 12. We could be getting into Port Adelaide versus Carlton territory.
Yeah, not wrong. It did look like that to start with, but I feel like, yeah, like you said, Liverpool have just kind of just gone back to say, okay, well, we've got the lead now. You've got to come at us now. So, but
Well, the
yeah,
wonderful thing
I'm
about
hoping more
Liverpool
goals.
is they go for two, don't they? They do
Yeah.
have that go for two, go for three, go for four mentality.
Mm. Oh, there's no bigger frustration in world football where a team goes 1-0 up and they just sit back. I'm always a big believer the best form of defense is offense. Y- if you get 2-0 up, the percentage, some ridiculous percentage chance of winning when you're 2-0 up compared to 1-0 up is astronomically different. So I don't understand. When you're on top, you just got to we say it about Carlton actually a lot. When you've got to put your foot on the throat when you're on top. You just have to.
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, if you ever play FIFA online,
Mm,
you have a squeaky bum, 10 minutes to go, 1-0 up.
yeah, yeah,
At 2-0 up, you're
yeah.
feeling a lot more relaxed. You're
Oh,
passing
of
the ball
course.
around. Like, I'm the worst if you ask my wife, 1-0 up. I want total silence.
Keep
You
it
know what
down.
I mean? Like
Edge of the
everything's
seat.
stress.
Yeah. Nah, but you're right, and I think I always hear that throwaway line, and 2-0 up at halftime is the worst scoreline ever. Well, I think 2-0 down at halftime is the worst scoreline ever, personally. So yeah, you just got to when you've got the momentum, because sport, football, everything, it can change in a heartbeat. Um, so you've just got to, when you got the moment, you just got to go for it.
Is he onside? I think he was onside then.
Let's have a look.
Salah broke through. It was one on one. We'll
Well,
go
yeah,
through
I,
some.
I, I reckon the right back kept him onside. Let's have a look
Yeah,
at the
he's
replay.
onside there. Look, mine
Yeah,
was
yeah. Look at
onside.
the right back up the top. He was lazy.
Salah had a horrible first touch, though, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. You're licking your lips, I reckon.
They're just play. Liverpool are toying with them. They are. Big Stewart, he's a little bit worried against. Yeah, I never like playing teams below you either. To be honest, it's never a nice feeling because it is the kind of game that you take the foot off the ball, isn't it? But Liverpool aren't stupid. To be fair, they're tough to
Look,
beat.
I'm just gonna poor babies. Oh, don't like playing teams. There's cover a West Ham fan. We barely play teams lower than us. So
You're doing all right though this year. You're doing
yeah,
that.
look, that's a bit of a laugh, but it's funny. As a West Ham fan, I've always spoken about. I'd much rather we play better against the big teams than Brighton. We haven't beaten. Is a fact. We haven't beaten Brighton and Hove since they've come into the Premier League. We haven't beaten them. So, like,
It's weird,
you know,
isn't it? Because you always get a bogey team.
oh, Brighton and Hove is our bogey team. But yeah, so from a West Ham, you're saying, was it Stuart before saying
Yeah,
you always get nervous playing the lower teams? Well, as a West Ham fan, you're always confident against the big teams. I don't know. You always feel like, oh, because I guess you go into say, what's the worst that happen? We get beat. Cool. Everyone expects to get beat. But geez, when you get that result, whew,
mate, I'm with you. And when you watch United as well, teams play better against United than they do anywhere else. And
oh,
especially when you've got
you
Ollie
get that
as a
buzz. Get
coach,
that
you've got
buzz.
a chance.
Yeah.
Got a big chance. Tell the baggers to put the pedal to the metal. I agree. Like, I think
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, I'm always of the school when you play a team worse than you, that you need to go out like Liverpool have, score early, take
Bury
away
'em.
that what's the worst that can happen, and give them the worst that can happen. Because now Watford will be like, oh shit, 2-0, 3-0, 5-0, because it's an early goal.
You got to bury teams, and I think with the Carlton connection there, you know, there's a couple of games where you get 5 or 6 goals up, and you think, we need to win this by 70, 80 points, and you only end up winning by 6 or 7 goals, and it's just like, well, you got to bury the teams. It's good teams bury teams.
Mate, I'm with you. Oh, thank you very much, Lana. I appreciate you joining. Pom, what was Salah's snub for? The player of the month and Ronaldo? To be honest, controversially, I agree with you. I was shocked CR7 won player of the month. Like, and I who knows? Who knows? It's a voting thing, though, isn't it? So
Yeah,
one is always
I
going to get
hate it.
ahead.
I hate fan voted things. I hate it in all sports, because I'm going to say we're all fans, but fans are one-eyed. Fans are stupid. Like, we don't get it. Ronaldo's the most popular footballer in the world. There would have been people who voted for Ronaldo who hadn't watched a minute of the Premier League, but
Yeah,
they would have voted
I'm
for
with
him.
you. I was shocked.
Yeah,
He's had a
I
good
hate it.
month. I think he's
Yeah,
been brilliant this month, but I did think he was probably third or
mate.
fourth best
It
player
all
this month.
all goes back to when Andrew Cracker won Mark of the Year over Andrew Walker.
I
The
mean, that's it, isn't it? I mean, I'm with you.
fan
I don't
voted
like
things, mate.
official awards that are
Yeah,
fan voted. I,
yeah,
I don't think they should be voted, to be honest, because it's mental.
yeah.
Is he onside here? He is. Chance here for Sarr.
Oh,
He's
he's
ran
held
the
it up.
long way around. What's going on here?
The flag goes
That,
up.
that is the longest offside.
So he was offside, and that rule of you play it, and yeah, I don't know.
You know what? If he'd hit it then when the keeper was off the line, that would have been stiff if they'd taken that long to call it offside.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Thoughts on Tottenham? I
Shit.
think it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one with Spurs, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, this is going to sound really strange, being a West Ham fan, and I'll probably be kicked out of the club. But I don't mind Tottenham, to be honest. I like the way they play. I like watching them. There's something about them because they're not. I mean, they're not one of the big boys, but they're still there and abouts. Uh, I don't think they're contenders to win the league, but certainly, I mean, Champions League positions. There's if they're good enough. Not too sure about their manager. Um, your heavy reliance on Harry Kane and Son, who I did read the other day or today, sorry, that Son contracted COVID or something, so he's out for the next 3 games or something like that. So the heavy reliance on Kane and Son at some point, I think, is going to come and bite Tottenham in the butt, to be honest.
And I'm with you. I mean, they're a kind of a nothing club, aren't they? They're like they're like the next cab. If you've got like the big four, they're kind of like the next cab off the rank, aren't they? I always think when they lost Pochettino, that was the biggest mistake they ever made. I thought Poch was brilliant, absolute brilliant, and I thought what he was building after that Champions League, they started to keep players, which I think is Tottenham's problem, isn't it? That Tottenham develop a superstar, and then the big clubs come knocking, and they can't keep them. He's had a habit of keeping them in house, which I think Spurs need to do.
Yeah, and I think I've just brought it up. I've just looked at their season. I mean, they had a ripper start to the season. You know, beating Manchester City. You know, 3-1-0 wins in a row, basically. But then it just turned to absolute garbage. You know, 3-0 loss to Crystal Palace, 3-0 loss to Chelsea, 3-1 loss to Arsenal. You know, I think that's Tottenham's story.
I thought that was offside. You know? What a tackle by Trent Alexander-Arnold, though.
A wicked tackle. I thought it was offside too, but that's Tottenham's story, isn't it? You know, they look $1 million. You know, sitting on top of they were sitting on top of the table for the first 4 weeks or 3 weeks of the season, and then they'd have conceded, 10 goals in the last 4 games. So yeah, they're an odd club.
No, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. They're a tough team to read. Congratulations. Yeah, Tez shaved his head. That was unbelievable.
Love that.
Unbelievable. We both did, unfortunately. Well, I mean, unfortunately, I don't mind it now. Carlton have won a spoon for the past. We love a losing to a wooden spoon team.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Talk
we
about
love
playing
losing to crap.
Being nervous against the bottom teams. North Melbourne murder us, and
it's nothing better. Lana agrees with us. Fan voting is shite. Saints, I know he's a big Spurs fan. Son can have your children. He is a great player, Son.
Oh, I love him.
I actually think Son is their best player, but I'd have him over Kane.
Yeah, I love him. I love Son. Everything about him, I love. He's a
good player. This finish here, and Luke James is spot on. They finished like you in pro clubs. Shat himself should have finished it. He should have Jimmy Hoffered that, buried it in the back of a parking lot somewhere. He proper dilly-dallied. Like, you've just got to put his foot through it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
Oh, could we bother here? Oh.
That's the confidence, I think. I think he hits that if they're playing a Villa or a Palace or Norwich. But because you're playing Liverpool, you don't have the confidence to hit it.
I can't believe he's blown a free kick for that.
Yeah.
Like, Sadio Mane weighs about as much as a dinner. Like, how is he fouling a centre-back?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit soft.
I love Robertson. He's like one of my favourite players.
Yeah.
Such a hard guy.
No messing and you around. Need that. You need that. I think in the positions that you needed to be hard in, that's the right back, left back positions.
The score predictions, Tim, we had 3-1 from Big Fazz and we had 3-0 from me. So we're both on course to be right.
Although, yeah, I did say 3-1 with Watford going ahead, but yeah, I'll still take the 3-1 if it occurs.
In the words of Tommy Smith, put in the old onion bag. God, that's going back. Tommy Smithy. What's going on here? I'll tell you what, they've started to have a bit of the ball, haven't they, Watford? They're starting to be a bit more direct, which we're used to.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, you say it all the time, they sat back to start with. If they had come out like this from the opening whistle, you might be talking a different story here. They've certainly woken up, which they had to. When you go 1-0 down, you have to.
The problem is, though, for Ranieri, is when Liverpool do get the ball, that they are cutting themselves open like you've never seen. It is too easy. Like, I mean, look at this here. They are just finding ball after ball.
Yeah. Even their missed kicks are finding players.
Do I have the Sylvani Disney? I don't. I've got one printed out this morning in lockup because someone ordered it this afternoon. So I will have a spare one behind me this week. So I will show you it next video I do. They are drying in my lockup because I'm old pots. Posh. I'm old pots. Posh. Thoughts on Paddy Dow? It's his birthday today, Paddy Dow.
Yeah, I did see that. Paddy Wow.
20. You said he was 23, wasn't it?
22.
22. God. He
Yeah.
feels like he's been around ages, isn't he? He's like
It feels like he's had a career run and done because
he's like Reggie Miller. He's
uh,
claims he's 20, but he's actually
uh,
48.
mate, the amount of coverage he gets, at the poor kid, but it's a brutal industry. And look, Paddy Dow's first season, we all called him Paddy Wow, and yeah, I like him. I like him. He's a nice young fella. I've met him a few times. Really nice young fella. The comments from Diesel Williams about him needing to be tougher and harder is probably accurate. But yeah, I might get stick for this, but don't give up on him just yet.
I've got a feeling he's going to be good under Vossi.
Yeah,
Might go.
yeah. Don't give up on him just yet. I spoke to someone during the week, and the arrival of Adam Chera is a big kick up the butt for someone like Paddy, and don't be surprised if he has a ripper preseason. So, and if he doesn't, and he continues, and so be it, whatever. But yeah, he's a very intriguing player this season. I'm looking
I'm
forward to him
looking.
personally.
I'm looking forward to seeing him. Stewart went to go and see Liverpool play West Ham at Anfield. Fowler scored 2. God, Robbie Fowler. Tell you what a player he was. And Vladimir Smicha. God, what a blast from the past.
Yeah, great call, great call. Fowler, I love that. Remember the celebration, the line celebration?
Oh
Absolute
yeah.
classic. Yeah, classic.
Tell you what, he was a finisher and a half. He was.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
Robbie Fowler.
absolute legend. And I actually, I know it's not about me, but met him a couple of times when he was managing Brisbane Roar, and mate, absolute quality unit.
Mate, Darcy Lang. Oh, where do you start? Shy, if you want 3 words.
He he's the poster boy of Carlton's dealings with Geelong, isn't he?
Oh, mate, I tell you,
Him, Billy Schmetz.
yeah, got it. He gives me nightmares to Darcy Lang.
Yeah.
Everyone's agreeing he's a dud. Luke loves Dow though. Get on the Dow train.
Yeah.
I agree with this. I do think Dow cops a lot of abuse. He does. Like, I mean, Dow could kick the winner in a grand final when people would still say he's pants. Like,
yeah,
poor kid.
Look, I think with Paddy, he's never going to be the player who gets 30, 35, touches a game. He's not going to be a high possession player, which in the era of statistics, everyone's like, oh, we look at his stats, he's no good. He is going to be your, 22 to 27 touches a game, but be damaging with it. I mean, it was back into the season, he was getting, 8, 9 score involvements and stuff. That's the type of player he's going to be. If people are going to expect him to get Walsh numbers or Cripps numbers at his best, then he's destined to fail. So he's not going to be a high possession player. That's not his game. That's not how he plays. And he's not the only one like that. There's plenty of players in the competition who are like that. So,
No, I'm
but
with you,
yeah,
bro. I'm with you. I think he's one of them guys that's wait and see, and I see him as his comparison Dangerfield. That was his draft comparison.
yeah.
And I think he's going to be that impact player. He's going to be that player that has 18, 20 touches and potentially wins you a game. And now he's got some support around him. Bit of love from Tim. Good day to you, mate. You have a great beer, mate. Have a great night. Thank you for popping in. Much love, my friend. And what's worse, Lang or Poulsen? I'd go Lang every day because we bought Lang. We inherited Poulsen.
Yeah. Yeah, Lang. Yeah. 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 Definitely Lang.
Tell you what, Liverpool in this last 2 minutes have absolutely taken the piss, and they just
Yeah,
haven't got a goal. This could be
I,
like 3-0.
yeah, I think they've switched on now. You know, Watford had a bit of the play, and this is what we were talking about before about momentum. When you got the momentum, you have to score. Watford had a bit of the momentum, bit of the play, couldn't score. Liverpool have tightened the screws a bit, gone up another gear.
Tell you, Jordan Henderson is one of them players as well who's really grown. I remember him playing for Coventry back in the day on loan, highly rated, real solid footballer. And he has impressed me, like in his days at Sunderland to now. He's become a really accomplished player.
Yeah, look, I really like him. Obviously, a very good leader, very good person to have in the dressing room, which is very important. When you look at the England setup as well, to me, I like the setup Southgate goes with, maybe a bit defensive, but I don't know how Henderson's not in there every minute. To be honest, he's just you can plonk him in the middle, and you know what you're going to get from him. He's a good leader. You know, everything he does, yeah, it's consistent. You just know what you're going to get, and I think that's important. You need those types of plays. Nothing flashy, nothing brilliant. You know, nothing that's going to make the highlight reels, but it's consistent, and that's what you need.
No, mate, I agree. I'm a big fan. He does the simple things
Yeah.
well, like, and I think that's the hugest thing. Thoughts on Mason Greenwood? Good out to you, Mozzle. Mozzle, I'm a
Mm.
big fan. I think for me, huge call. I think he's the best finisher in England.
Yeah.
Huge
Look,
call.
that is a big call. Look, I like him. He's got a bucket load of potential, and working with Cristiano Ronaldo was only going to make him better. I think maybe he tries to shoot a little too. Oh, hold on.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, you could feel that
Beautiful
building.
work
Sorry, we'll answer
goal.
that Greenwood question in a minute, but you could feel that building. That what if you
Crowd
want if you're
celebration.
introducing yeah if you're introducing someone to Liverpool, that you show them that is Liverpool to a T. Just play across. So beautiful ball, one touch out to Mane. It just yeah,
It was almost like
that's
a training drill, wasn't it? You know, where you can only play one touch
Ooh.
football,
Yeah. The VAR is going to have a look at this. Nah, he's all right.
but
Yeah,
simple goal.
simple. Couldn't get easier. But yeah, the Greenwood, I like him. He's got loads of potential. He'll be United's leading man soon. He'll be England's leading man soon. So
I'm with
yeah,
you. I think my issue with him is his distribution at the moment is up there with Kim Jong Un. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he is shoot
yeah,
first, passing is for banter. And I think once he develops that selflessness, he'll be
yeah,
a very good player. Like, I know like, this is Ollie's fault, though, because Ollie has mentioned about 8 times in press interviews that he loves him shooting on sight. He wants
yeah.
him to shoot on sight. It's what he's told to do. I disagree. I think he needs to literally be made to pass
Mm,
and, distribute a bit more, especially when he's playing on the right. You
yeah.
can't just keep having pop shots from 30 out for banter. But
Mm.
great player. Big fan.
Nah, yeah. He's got a huge future. The Watford fans look a bit dejected.
They do, yeah. The Liverpool Chelsea game, that was last week, wasn't it? 2-2.
Yeah. Um,
That was a great game, that, yeah.
is
We've got Liverpool
is it?
Watford on now if you're asking now, or if you're asking my thoughts of the Liverpool game. The No, sorry, it was Man City, wasn't it, they played last time?
Yeah. So is this question who do we like more out of Liverpool or Chelsea, or who do we hate more? Or I'm not too sure what the question is, but if a gun held to my head, do I choose Liverpool or Chelsea? Oh, I'll
You'll
take the
say
gun.
Chelsea, surely, for the West Ham rivalry.
Yeah. Look, I love my best mate goes for Chelsea. I love beating Chelsea. Love it. So yeah, I'll take Chelsea. Just
All right, I see what you mean. I actually think that that'll be the best game we've seen for a while because I think Tuchel's style of play,
yeah.
is the antichrist of Liverpool. They're very rigid at the back. They hold the line well. They don't fall for trickery or anything like that. They can keep. I think also what you've got to do with Liverpool, because it's so energetic, you've got to be able to tempo manage, and they manage tempo better than any side in world football at the moment. It's going to be a great game. It'll be tough. I reckon that is a 1-1 draw, stonewalled.
When is that?
Let's have a look.
Is it?
That's
Yeah, not for a
I,
while. But you're
I,
right.
I
I think.
don't think it's far
It,
away, surely.
yeah,
2nd of January, New Year's. The New
yeah,
Year.
nice. Yeah, I think if there's two teams that are definitely in the title race, it's them two, and that game's vital.
It'd be a
Vital.
great game. Be a great
Yeah.
game. Lana hates Chelsea, as most
Same.
Liverpool fans do. How can Tottenham get back in the top 4? I think Harry Kane. Get Harry Kane firing. You're a chance.
How can Tottenham get back in the top 4? Well, if the top 4 go into administration, then they're a chance. Nah, look, yeah, look, I'm just being cheeky. Look, any team with Kane and Song in there are gonna challenge. You know that they'll win enough games. They'll get there. I'm not convinced with their manager. I'm not convinced by him. I liked what he did at Wolves, but I mean it's a different gravy going Wolves to Tottenham. Yeah, like, and I don't know if he's got the players that to play the way he wants to play. So we'll see. But look, they could make top 4. I think Tottenham are in that next bracket. I think they're a 5th, 6th, 7th team. But on any given day, if things go right, yeah, top 4 for sure. I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't. But a lot's got to go right.
No, I'm with you. I think if you can get Harry Kane firing, you've got a chance. As Kiete hits the post, Kiate hits the post.
Ooh,
Not a bad little right peg through there.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Tell you what, decent.
yeah.
Liverpool, Peter. I know
Selection
Peter's
too.
a big Liverpool fan. I mean, I know Peter's a big football fan. Liverpool, but I don't hate Chelsea. I hate Man United more, just like Essendon. God,
Yeah.
that hurts being compared to
Well,
them.
look, I think that's a good question, a good comparison. I think I talked to my old man, who's obviously Carlton as well, and his hatred for Collingwood is next level. Where I hate Essendon more than I hate Collingwood. So it's become Manchester United, Liverpool, your Essendon, your Collingwood. Which one do you hate more? Yeah, or Chelsea, Tottenham, whoever. But it's a good little question. I think just who do you hate that little bit more than the next person or next
Hey,
club?
there's a few sides that you just naturally hate
Yeah,
in there. There's a few sides.
Crystal
Gary
Palace for
Ablett
me.
Jr. or Dusty?
Um, Career, I'm taking Gary Ablett, but if you're playing a grand final tomorrow, and this is nothing against Ablett Jr., but if I'm playing a grand final tomorrow, I'm probably taking Dusty. In my
I
time
said in
watching,
their prime, so
in their
peak.
prime, yeah. Oh, jeez. I think I still stand by what I was going to say. I think there's no better big game player than Dusty Martin that I've seen in my time. However, uh, probably taking Gary Ablett Jr. and that might be my hatred towards Richmond bias, possibly, but I think I'm just taking Gary Ablett Jr.
I'm taking Gary Ablett Jr. purely
Yeah,
because I fucking hate Richmond.
yeah, yeah. I think yeah.
No, genuinely, I think Gary Ablett Jr. on his day, Prime Junior, is one of the best things I've ever seen. Like, best things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The lovely Amanda, good day to you. She says, boring game, why do old farts like Ranieri still get a chance to manage in the Premier League? It's
Love
a
it.
great one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that at the start of the show. Like, he's kind of got the gig on the back of the Leicester job, hasn't he? Like, everyone remembers that. But after Leicester, there was a few bad appointments for him. It's hard to replicate.
Yeah, and I think that there's a bit of a trend in the Premier League or in world football as well of rehashing, recycling managers, and it's almost like this safe appointment. You know, Watford, they're making the safe appointment. They know by getting Ranieri, they probably won't get relegated. But you'd love to see a club be bold and just get the next big thing. Like we've spoken before, Eddie Howe, how he is not managing a Premier League club right now. I It beggars belief. It beggars belief.
I'm with you, bro.
Yeah. So I mean, there's was it the Crowley brothers? Is that what they're called? The Crowley brothers who are managing um, one of the lower teams. I can't think of the top of my head, but there's so many good young managers out there who are just 2021 thinkers. So I agree with that comment, but the answer is the reason that he gets a go is that it's the safe option.
Oh,
What can
spot
we do
on.
to, yeah, Sam Allardyce, the safe option if you're fighting
It's a weird thing
relegation.
as well because you look at his appointments after, like Nantes, Fulham.
Mm,
He was at
mm.
Sampdoria, Roma, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, the Fulham one was a disaster.
yeah,
Like, there's no way. I mean, that's his most recent Premier League job as well. Like, and Fulham were throwing money at the problem, weren't they? So,
yeah.
like, in my opinion, I agree with you. Eddie Howe, like, he'd be someone I'd look at. Even you look at players like you look at coaches like Wayne Rooney. I think what Wayne Rooney's doing at Derby has been spectacular on
Mm.
the lowest budget you've ever seen. Like, I mean, this guy's like having to pay people's Ubers to get them to
Yeah,
games. It's that bad.
yeah. You're not wrong, but I think like I look at Crystal Palace as an example. I mean, the signing of Patrick Vieira as their manager, it was like a shock. It was like, what? Where are they signing? Where's this come from? But I think that's a brave move. Like, what a bold, brave statement. And I hate Crystal Palace. I'm going to put that out there now. But what a brave statement from them to go from Roy Hodgson, who they were safe, happy, calm, mid-table, lower table, never getting relegated, to go to Vieira and say, bang, like that's like the next step. This, they're backing a bloke in to take him to the next step. Maybe it's too early for Watford being promoted to do that, but I still think it's just a safe option getting Ranieri.
Well, I mean, I always think as well, like you what, 8 games into the year, 7 games played as half-time blows and it's 2-0 Liverpool. I always think it's quite early to sack a coach as
Oh
well.
yeah,
When you're a newly promoted side, particularly, or a bottom six side, like you've got to give them a chance because they have made a few signings as well, Watford. So you've got to let them get in there. But it's a baffling one. Like she's followed it up, and I agree. Like you've got Sam Allardyce, Steve Bruce. Bruce is another
yeah.
guy. Like honestly, that guy's football is banter. Warnock, I mean, well, you always sign Warnock if you want to get promoted. Like, really, if
I
you're
love it.
clever, you get Warnock. He gets you promoted, and you sack him the next day.
Ever heard the story of Neil Warnock? He carries around signed photos of himself in a bum bag. True story. And so whenever he meets, no, dead set, hand on heart, true story. So he carries signed photos of himself in a bum bag. And so when he goes at training and that, when he meets fans and he just hands them a signed photo of himself. Like dead set. It's
That
hilarious.
is
Yeah,
I can actually say Neil Warnock. He used to manage
yeah,
Scarborough. He got us
yeah,
promoted. And yeah, he's a character, is Neil. He's a
yeah.
character. But it is
Classic
unbelievable.
bloke.
Warnock has been in like the industry, what, like 75 years?
Yeah. Yeah, and Alan Pardew, that's a blast from the past as well. Like, what's he up to these days?
He was
He's
in Holland, wasn't he, for a while?
yeah, yeah.
Like
So what's he? He's
he was the
currently
advisor of
uh,
CSK Sofia.
yeah, all right. So he's doing nothing then. Uh,
But what an obscure job for Alan
yeah,
Pardew.
yeah. I liked him too. Um, and so
Pards.
so yeah. Well, Neil Warnock, well, he's still managing Middlesbrough. So what a career he's had.
Amanda's a great question though. I love that. Like Amanda's spot on though. There is some players like Sam Allardyce. There was that series of life, wasn't there, for about a 5 year period. That if you were about to get relegated, 1-800 call Sam.
Yeah, yeah. I think like obviously had a long stint with was it Bolton, Newcastle, West Ham when we were in the championship. He got us promoted and stayed with us for a season. But yeah, he jumped. He went after the I'll look it up. But after his West Ham stint, he was literally like one season wonder at heaps of clubs after that. So, but you're right. So, yeah, he went West Ham to Sunderland to the England manager for 3 games, Crystal Palace, Everton, and West Brom. Yeah, so literally 1, 2, 3, 4 clubs in 5 seasons.
I've got to say, the Sam Allardyce England manager
Mm.
has to be one of my favourite moments in the history of sport.
You couldn't make it up, could you? So what was he doing in a restaurant, just slagging off or something? Yeah,
Yeah, talking about bongs. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
stuff like that. And you know what amazed me about that, right, was that the press had the audacity, as well as fan bases, as well as the media, to be shocked Sam Allardyce is dodgy. Like, who the fuck would, like, I was reading it going, so? Like,
Yeah,
everyone knows he does this. It's Sam
yeah,
Allardyce.
yeah. Well, I mean, West Ham, when he was manager of West Ham, we were only allowed to sign players that were managed by his mates. So, like, you'd always get a cut from him. Like, the more surprising thing would be that he wasn't dodgy. Like,
honestly, it was one of the funniest things. Mozzo predicts 2025 PSG Newcastle United Champions League final. Yeah, it's a matter of time, isn't it? Before with these people, if these like rich, multi-rich people keep buying middle of the table clubs, it's only a matter of time before what we know as football is totally changed, isn't it? Like, isn't it really?
yeah, look, I've on a recording had a real uh, a hot moment under the collar. I just went nuts about how football's not, it's changing, and I don't like it. Um, yeah, it's going to be a different world, and this COVID stuff and everything. It's just the division between the rich clubs and the poor clubs is massive now. I mean, you look at the clubs going broke, folding. You know what Wigan. I mean, when I first started getting into to football, Wigan was a staple. Um,
Oh
and
yeah,
now
I mean,
yeah,
like
they're
I'm old
gone.
enough to remember Swindon in the Premier League. Like I remember Swindon in
Yeah.
the Premier League. I remember Oldham in the Premier League. Like these guys now floating around League One, League Two.
Mm,
It's sad though, isn't it? Because like Derby County, team that's won the Champions League, well, the
yeah.
European Cup as it was then, and they're struggling to pay players. But 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this was one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Like
Mm.
crazy
Not
how times have changed.
Nottingham Forest, Sunderland. You know, I remember being in a situation. I remember the conversation like it was yesterday, with my old man saying, I wish West Ham were more like Sunderland. I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. I was sitting there, miserable as we just got relegated. I said, well, why can't we be more like a club like Sunderland? Fast forward 10 years,
Yeah, you wouldn't
you know,
swap.
no, but this is a reality, and I think there are plenty of clubs out there who you just can't sit on your your heels and think that it's just going to go well. You've got to keep moving. You've got to keep progressing, because if you don't, it could all be over. I mean, look at Leeds United. How long it took them to get back up, and now I mean, they're struggling. They had their first season of absolute madness, in the Premier League, and now they look like they're going to be in a relegation scrap. It's just
So quick. It's so quick. And like you say, the top five teams in the UK to like your bottom five teams, you're talking the budget difference. You're talking the attraction to go to there. It's so hard. And you're going to see it with Newcastle when we start to hear the wages they're playing to attract
yeah,
players there. They're going to make you feel physically sick, aren't they? You got to get, because they'll have to go through the phase that Man City did, won't they, of like paying mediocre footballers that are probably just outside the top four, top
yeah,
two salaries.
yeah. Well, I think the other this other aspect of it, which I'm yet to see have any impact at all ever on anything, is the financial fair play. Um, it seems to be this thing that gets thrown around anytime someone signs a big name player, but the reality is, has it really had any impact on anyone? Could that have an impact on Newcastle? Like, are they going to get the revenue and the sponsorships that the big clubs get? So with the financial fair play, I believe it's a system where you can only pay what you bring in or something like that. So they obviously can't just sign a bloke on 500 grand a week in January, because that won't meet their financial fair play. So I think they'll have the budget to start with to transfer for players, but I don't think they'll be able to offer big wages yet. But that'll evolve over a couple of seasons. But again, to me, maybe financial fair play is just a myth. I don't know. I hear it get thrown about, but I've never actually seen it
It'll be
100%.
interesting to see, because I know that there was calls in the press to say. I know Simon Jordan did a great interview, former Crystal Palace chairman, on Talk Sport, pandering the idea of a salary cap worldwide. And it's interesting. Peter's just mentioned that. I think that would be quite an interesting thing. And I think he used the example of Barcelona at the moment in worlds of trouble financially. And like, Barcelona are one of the biggest clubs in world football, probably in world sports.
Oh,
And
yeah.
to hear that they're over $1 billion worth in debt, and like Simon Jordan said, if this was another club, like he used Rangers as an example, that where they were 200 million in debt, even though Rangers is such a global name, they had to go into receivership. They couldn't
Yeah.
pay it. So he's asking the question. They've admitted it's because they've overspent. It's interesting to think, is that something that may come in? Because surely they have to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting talking point, I guess. The salary cap. Yeah, I'm very torn between the salary cap idea. Um, I don't like the idea of players being on 400, 500 grand a week. So maybe not so much a salary cap, rather a limit to the amount you can pay a player. So I mean, you can still have 11 players on 200 grand a week, but if you say the most you can pay a player is 200 grand a week, but the Man Cities and that will have 11 players on 200 grand a week, where the lower teams might have one. I think maybe something like that rather than a cap. But I mean, no one could predict the outbreak, the pandemic. But I think maybe is this going to be the? I was hoping it might be the great equalizer. The rich teams start saying, okay, we've got to now start banking on something like this happening. However, I think it's just made the division even bigger, and something has to change. Whether a salary cap is the right idea, but something has to be put in place. You can't just keep having the same teams promoted, relegated, promoted, relegated. You can't have it. And how long before another team folds? How long before a big team folds? Barcelona.
Oh, I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, like, it was like Simon Jordan was saying about Barcelona.
Yeah,
There's no way FIFA would let it be dissolve. Like, there's no way. And I agree with Simon Jordan there. Like, there is no way FIFA would allow that to happen. That they would call someone, fix it, rah. But
yeah,
I think you're spot on, because I remember when Jean-Alain Papin signed for 10 million, and that was like 93, 92.
yeah,
And I remember my pop nearly vomiting, going, no player's worth that, son. No player's worth that.
yeah,
And then I remember 95, you had what was it? Bergkamp was like 8 million. The year after, you had Shearer 15 million. That broke, I mean, that's amazing. 96 world
yeah.
record, 15 million.
Well,
Like,
I think Rio Ferdinand as well. He
30
went.
million, yeah. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I remember Shearer signing for 15 million, and my pop going, oh, that's crazy. It's crazy money. He's a good player,
yeah.
but he ain't worth that. And
And
it's
now you.
crazy now. 100 million is like a going rate.
Yeah. Oh, it's ridiculous, and clubs can't sustain that. And I remember when West Ham signed Andy Carroll, and which would have been 2016, 2016, 2017. No, sorry, earlier than that, maybe 2013, 2014, right? And we broke our transfer record, which was 15 million. Now we spent 30 million on a bloke who sits on the bench. It's You can't sign a Premier League player for under 30 million these days. Like, it's just ridiculous. And they said 100 million. If you want a player to come into your starting 11 and change the game, 100 million. Like, it's ridiculous.
Mate, I'm with you. And you think about it, it's weird because, like, I don't want to pan centre backs because I know you're a centre back, but you've got to. But like in my mind, paying 40 million for Ben White, a centre back, 45 million.
50, wasn't it? Yeah, but
Yeah, he's mind-boggling. Like he's
yeah, I know.
mind-boggling. Like I'm showing my age here, but like in my day, 2 million would get you the best centre back on the planet.
Yeah, I think it's the England tax. I've mentioned that before because he's English, but yeah, 50 million on a centre back. Even 80 million on Van Dijk. Was it, what did United pay for Maguire? It's a lot of money for a centre back. But if you've got it, spend it, I guess.
Oh, I mean,
So,
obviously you've got. I mean, obviously you've got to, haven't you? I mean,
mm. But yeah, look, I
it,
mean, Maguire and Van Dijk are a different class compared to Ben White. So, but I think it's you still say the same thing there. It just makes me wonder. Like I've said it before, what's Declan Rice going to go for? What if he's to leave West Ham? What's it going to cost to get him out? If blokes like Ben White are going for 50 million, you know. So
oh, mate, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm just having a quick check now. Every club's record signing, like, it's amazing, right? That you've got like Newcastle here, 40 million is their highest. You've got Norwich, 8 million is their highest. You've got, I mean, that's crazy when you think about it. That, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Some of these smaller clubs, you're looking at 8 million
yeah.
versus like
Cristiano
Leeds
Ronaldo
United.
gets paid that in a month.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like you're looking at Leeds United, like the most they've played, 30 million for Rodrigo all time.
Mm,
Like, and then you're looking at like the top clubs, like the big, big, big clubs. Like Chelsea have thrown out 70, 100 million, 90
mm.
million. Like the difference in spending is frightening.
Yeah, and that's why people question Norwich up down up down up down. Literally 3 seasons in a row, Premier League relegated. They're probably going to get relegated again. They just can't compete. They're good enough to get promoted from the Championship. I'm glad they kept their manager all the way through that at the time, but they just can't compete when their record is
It's
8 million.
scary. And I think Mozzle's right here. Like Lana's saying, ridiculous amount of money. Stuart and Pete saying, can you imagine if there was no salary cap in the AFL? Carlton would have won like 10 premierships, which is true. But Mozzle's spot on here. How do we stop rich clubs from stockpiling world-class talent? Because you look at a lot of the clubs, there's a lot of talent in the reses that you would think, like I look at like United and think, I look at like Ellen Garda and things like that in our reserves who aren't playing. Like these players would make a difference for your Watfords and your Wolves. And there isn't much incentive for these Premiership teams to loan them in the Premier League. Quite often they go to Antwerp and Mickey Mouse leagues. It'd be
Yeah.
great to see more Premier League teams loan their young talent to top level teams in the league.
Well, I think I was just thinking about Conor Gallagher from Chelsea on loan to Crystal Palace. He's like their best player for Crystal Palace. He's having a phenomenal season. That needs to happen more. Um, yeah, Conor Gallagher from
Yeah,
Chelsea.
he's killing it.
Yeah, so I think uh, there needs to somehow get back to there needs to be a bit of a shift. At the moment, I think the young players want the big money, where you want the shift to go. The young players want to play football, and the shift needs to come and say you'll get paid the big money eventually, but just play football. I think that's that, at the moment it's you've got some blokes who'd rather sit on the bench at Anfield at Old Trafford earning 150 grand a week to sit on the bench or even in the resis, where they could be playing 90 minutes week in, week out in the Premier League at a lower club. Yeah. I use Jesse Lingard as that in that example. I mean, how much better was it for him when he went on loan?
Oh,
Uh,
mate, I'm with you. And I think, like, I mean, Scotland have tried to pander a rule for a long, long time. We've got the European Fair Trade, which is interesting because they are looking at negotiating a different one with the European Union with us leaving it. and obviously that affects in that league. But we have the 3 players under 21 in the matchday squad, which still exists to this day, which has really, we've seen a huge increase in Scottish talent because of that, because now you can't kind of stockpile, because for years Rangers and Celtic stockpiled talent, where now they're looking internally because of that rule. And I do think it's a matter of time before maybe, but the problem is with football is if the Premier League brought in a 3 foreigner rule and said you're only allowed 3 foreigners in your starting 11, the problem is unless La Liga did that and Serie A did that, the Premier League would know they'd fall behind them teams in the Champions League. So that's something FIFA need to do and say, look, from now on, domestic clubs, maximum of 3 players born outside of your nation can play. And if FIFA did that, I reckon you'll suddenly see an equilibrium.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I've always thought that it's you see that the lower leagues do similar, like with the A League model is very similar to that. You know, you can have to have a certain amount. I think it's they've obviously got the foreigner thing, but you can only have a certain amount of over 23s players on your books. I think it's a great idea, because what's ended up happening is you get these young players who are dominating in the under 23s, which is a rubbish competition. They need to scrap the under 23s and make a genuine reserves competition, in my opinion. Absolutely dominating, but they never, ever, ever get the chance. Or if they do get the chance, they get 5 minutes at the end of a game. And if they don't do something in that 5 minutes, you never, ever see them again. I could reel off 1,000 players who are like that. West Ham have one right now. Who actually came from Man United. Odebeku, Mipo Odebeku, absolutely bangs in goals in the under 23s. When does he get his go? Against Manchester United. West Ham already losing. He comes on and then he came on as a sub and then got subbed off again. Like, the bloke's never going to get a go. So I agree with you.
I'm
There
with
has
you.
to be a rule.
I would love to see a nationalised under 23 comp that is on regular TV. It's the same with AFL. I've been saying it since I've been here. Why isn't the junior football regularly on TV? Create the hype about these kids for 2 reasons. One, they're going to get used to exposure. But 2, it's gonna big games breed success. But secondly, I'd love to see FIFA tomorrow say, right, that's it. Barcelona are in fucking mess because they're paying 500,000 a week for some Brazilian 12-year-old. What we're doing now is from 2023, you have to have 5 foreigners in your matchday squad maximum. 2029, that goes down to 3. So now you've got 3 years to build for that. More focus on academies, because at the end of the day, that is the issue we've got, the Champions League. And to answer Mozzle's question, I could see the Premier League doing it, but if the Premier League had 3 foreigners max,
And the others,
they'd get battered by Real Madrid, Dortmund.
Yeah, no, for 100%, 100%. It would be, the Champions League would be very hard to watch.
Oh, go on. And there it is. We're going to see that unlucky by Ben Foster. I'm a big fan of Ben Foster, but not much you can do there. That could have been anyone's goal, really, but Firmino...
it was close to being an own goal. It was close to being, You were hoping Salah got there quicker, weren't you?
I was, but I mean, great build-up play, though. This is what Liverpool do really well. He could be off there.
He could be, but they won't pay that. He didn't touch it. Although, is that considered impacting play? I don't know.
Nah, he's miles away. I mean, you could maybe argue that him running across Ben Foster as the ball bobbled caused a distraction, but
I feel
it'd be stiff to vote that offside.
Yeah, I feel a bit for, maybe this is a centre backs union here, but I feel a bit for Cathcart there. Obviously, trying to get that foot in for a clearance and hitting the toe rather than hitting the laces. He had to make. He had to go.
Well, Firmino's celebrations have to be the worst in football.
They're piss. But yeah, Cathcart, he had to make that challenge in there, because if he didn't, it was a tap in for Salah. So I do feel for him a bit, but yeah, you're right. Firmino's celebrations, I don't know.
Well, I mean, speaking as a striker and a centre back, I agree with you as a first centre back. It's a thankless job, isn't it? Because if you
Yeah,
don't put your foot in there and it went to Salah, you're saying, what the fuck was Cathcart doing? And if
yeah.
you do, you're going to be told, what the fuck are you doing? So, I mean, thankless job. But I mean, my celebrations were elite. I used to work on my celebrations in training. So I'm qualified as a connoisseur of training.
Love that.
Sort your training, sort your goals out, man. Your
Yeah.
celebrations, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. Stuart here, he agrees with us. He misses the reserve games before them. You see, I agree with you. I'd love to see that in EPL as well. Like,
Yeah,
why can't you have before the kickoff? I think it maximizes the money as well for clubs.
it does. And I think that look with the reserves game, one of my simple thrills in life at the moment is when you check the Channel 7 guide and when they have a VFL game on TV, you're like, oh, it's the Carlton game. That's one of the simple thrills. Yeah, I actually get buzzing about that more so maybe than watching actually the AFL team. But there's there is that certain thrill about watching it, and it just I don't know. At worst, it gives you that little bit of excitement, that little bit of hope that you're. Oh,
Salah
sorry.
has just absolutely taken the piss. I have no idea. As you were talking, I watched it and I was like, he's got nowhere through this, nowhere through.
I can't
And
even remember what I was saying. What is that?
threaded that. He threaded that like my nan sorting out my socks. What an
Shit.
effort.
I I'm speechless. Thought his assist in the first half was brilliant, but look at this. Just oh my god.
Oh, the
He's the best.
control from Mo Salah is, mate, honestly, like,
Now, do you know what frustrates me is that won't win goal of the season. It'll be some
but
40
it should
yard,
do.
yeah, it'll be some 40-yard top bins, that wins goal of the season from James MacArthur or something like that, right? But that is one of the
The
best goals
cutback.
you'll see.
Mate, honestly, Mo Salah, honestly, he's a magician. Like, he could play a game in snow and not leave footprints. Like, the
But
kid is
you only just
ridiculous.
you only just have to look at the Liverpool bench. I mean, they're professional footballers. They're sitting up with their jaws dropped.
Like, like, he had nowhere to go as well. Like, I
No,
mean, what's crazy about that? He had nowhere to go. I always think about it as if I was playing. The logical thing to do was have a shot, get the corner.
yeah,
But he never thought about that.
no,
He was thinking, how can I score?
that's illegal. What he did was illegal. Simple as that.
That,
It was it
that was
was
a
pure
filthy
filth.
celebration as well. Just going up to the fans, filthy.
Love it. Love it.
Good
But
save,
4-0, so our predictions were way off, and there's still 35 minutes to go. This is
mate. It's one sided. Did I whip out the goal swing? I did a goal swing. I used to like the old. I give you my foot, and
that.
my strike partner
Yeah,
shines
I
it.
love that one. Love that one. Yeah.
1 o'clock, mate. We're on tonight. We've got Arts, top of the table clash. Rangers going for 2 in a row. Chris Beach, AFL trying to merge with VFL with an EFL, trying to bring back. That was successful time and time. You see, for me, here's my controversial as well. I would ban AFL clubs from the VFL and the NEFL because you look at the Sandful and the Waffle, they've got 2 teams in it that are affiliated. Look at how good their kids are because
Yeah.
there's no obligation in not playing. Now I know for facts Jamara O'Hagan was forbidden to play VFL by Footscray because they knew he was coming, and it made them worried that seeing him against men, bids may come earlier, or he could get
Mm,
injured. Where I think that's disgraceful. I think the VFL should literally be VFL team standalone, and the AFL has its own reserve league,
yeah.
18-man reserve league. And if that means extending the salary cap like they do in the NFL for a practice squad, do
Mm.
it. Do it because I think it's a joke. I do
Yeah.
think Mickey Mouse.
I mean, you just look at the players that get drafted, Horn Francis and stuff, absolutely dominating sample.
Yeah.
You don't hear that. I agree with you in that regard. I'd like just a standalone second comp. The problem is with the comment before. I think the AFL had the kind of right idea in place what they were doing, but then the COVID pandemic hit, so they couldn't actually produce what they wanted to produce. Yeah, but I think your suggestion is a good one. However, I don't know if the clubs have the money to do that at this
Well,
stage.
I mean,
You know,
I think the
especially
other option is you make it under 23s. So, you know,
Mm,
like at the moment with the Papa John's trophy we've got in the football, which is really good that we've got the Premier League teams is under 23s playing in it,
mm. Yeah.
but they're maxed out. Have
Mm,
that and say, look,
mm,
if you're Carlton, you can't play any player over the age of 23 and it's
mm.
capped. So if you are doing an injury and he's coming back off long term injury, you're capped with the over 23s you can have. So you're
Yeah.
going to have to
Yeah.
sacrifice someone else. Like,
Mm,
because I think it's just a joke when you've got that. And for me, I think you've got to look at it because reserves, this is where we're developing these people.
yeah. 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 And the VFL has just been a shit show the last 2 years because of the pandemic and everything. So there's no coincidence that the young players are developing slower because of it.
No, I'm with
So
you.
yeah.
And like Saint says here, the practice squad, I like the AFL subsidised the VFL. So
Mm,
got to remember that the budget that the AFL has to pay wages, because it's effectively the AFL who pay wages.
mm,
In my opinion, why couldn't you have a practice squad? They're all capped anyway, VFL. There's no the max contracts are very minimal. And
mm.
then you can get rid of this stupid mid-year draft because it's
Yeah.
stupid. And
Yeah.
Carlton right now have to fill a list of two lots of you could have 40 on the main list, like you have 43 or whatever it is, and 30 in the practice squad. And they're the next best because then it would encourage teams to buy younger.
Mm,
So, and I think the pressure on a player like Cam Paulson, where at the moment the pressure, the average lifespan of a footballer is 2 years,
yeah.
right? It's not a long time to make a difference. Suddenly the clubs would be more inclined to build within because if you get a Cam Paulson, you can say, right, 2 years, play him in the practice squad. He's still got a chance, right, to make the first team. But when we have an injury, that's where he goes. From our practice squad, you get promoted to the seniors. And so where you could demote people to the practice squad. So I like
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
just
I
me.
think there's definitely room for that. It'd be a massive culture shift. But I think it'd be. I mean, you look at someone like Ramsey who got delisted from Carlton. I wouldn't if he walked in my door right now. I wouldn't even know who he was. You know, yeah, he would.
Oh,
So,
you?
yeah, what are you doing in my house? Right, but I think the point's relevant. You know, we would have played what less than 10 games in the last 2 seasons because of the COVID stuff. Sorry, mate, your AFL career's over. Come on, like,
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. We, for those who are watching along as well, Sadio Mane has probably just had the worst attempt
yeah,
at a
that was
volley outside of the
rubbish.
area. Like I'm not going
Yeah,
to criticize him too much because my left peg is literally only there to even me out. I have no left foot, but that was a poor attempt at
yeah,
an
no, it
effort.
wasn't good. I would also like to raise the point. Everyone's asking because you're the striker. Everyone's asking about your goal celebrations. Just a heads up, I used to celebrate goals as well, by the way. So
So,
no,
what did you
yeah,
do? Give us a Fazz corner. The header's gone in.
and then it used to just the Kevin Nolan. I used to
Ah,
do it all the time. I used to get called the biggest tosser and everything. Yeah, just a Kevin Nolan straight past the opposition bench.
mate. There's nothing better than a centre back scoring. I've got to say.
Oh, love it. I love it.
Like, how good is a centre back scoring? Chris Beach, he hates the mid-season draft.
Yeah, it's crap.
Luke James wouldn't have a good under 23 squad. Geelong would be really confused by that. You know, can you imagine Geelong list management? This rule came in. They have to suddenly
Yeah,
sign 30 under 23s, and they'd be like, what?
yeah. I just
How?
I loved the fact they signed Segler. I just like just the meme goes on. The real life meme goes on when they sign a 31-year-old Segler, who I think will be all right for him, just quietly. But it's just They lose Jordan Clark and sign Segler. Great. Good work, Geelong.
Mate,
Keep it up.
mate, can you imagine Geelong's under 23 side? Guaranteed every bastard is 20 fucking 3, wouldn't they? They wouldn't have a 20-year-old and 18-year. They would all be dead on 23.
22 and 11 months.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, just on the fucking cutoff.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh man, that could have gone anywhere.
Tell you what, Trent Alexander-Arnold, right now. Obviously, I'm not a big lover of Liverpool, but there are some players in there that turn me on, and
He's one of them.
Alexander-Arnold is brilliant. Like I froth TAA, big
He's
fan.
a very good player.
One of my favourites, bro. Like literally one of my favourites to watch. I am a huge fan. I enjoy turning the TV on to watch him.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. He's everything you want.
Oh, you'll love this. Big Ronald Koeman. He was, wasn't he? He was a free kick specialist.
Yes. A shame how his managerial career is going at the moment. But
well, I mean, you can't feel too sorry for him because I was watching a report the other day and someone was like, oh, you've got to feel for Koeman, though, because he's got no money. And I'm like, but he's got like 2.8 billions worth of talent at his disposal. He shouldn't have to go out and buy anyone.
He's still got one of the most expensive squads in the world. What a shame!
It's a bit of a tough job. He's lost Messi and he can't buy anyone. I'm like, he's got like 2 billion worth of talent, mate. Like not an hard job. I mean, I'd take the job.
He's another recycled manager that gets thrown around a bit.
Talking about centre-backs, my favourite centre-back of all time, and it's a guy that I would have loved to have played against, Fabio Cannavaro. I would love to go one-on-one with him. I reckon it would have been fun.
Yeah, not a bad shout there. My favourite centre-back of all time, an odd one, but James Collins is my favourite centre-back of all time.
Oh, look, he's gone West Ham. West Ham. He went West Ham there.
I know that was a cheap move, that one, but nah.
I was thinking where you were going to go. I was thinking West Ham centre backs. Has he forgiven Rio for leaving?
Yeah. I do have forgiven him. I don't like he keeps jumping in the media saying they should sell Declan Rice, but no, I have forgiven him. But no, James Collins is my favorite centre back. Just something about him. I just love it.
Love it. Tell you what, tough. Blast from the past. Bit of Emlyn Jones. Adam Johnson, a name I have not heard for a long time. Adam Johnson. You know, my mate plays. We play FIFA 20, FIFA 20 back in the UK a lot online, and he actually got a FIFA ban for calling his team the Adam Johnson under-13s.
Oh man!
And he actually got banned. He got banned for the year, and he had like probably the best team I've ever seen. He had Icon Pele as well, and he literally got banned for the name. And I was like, that is stiff,
mate.
He's stiff.
He's what a ridiculous, disgusting story that Adam Johnson. Yeah, I don't know. It's a name. I don't even know. I don't know where to go from there. I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone. But he was a good footballer. But
disgraceful human being.
Yeah, absolute scumbag.
Disgraceful human being.
Yeah. And isn't there one at Everton floating around as well recently? Who was that?
Yeah, that was crazy as well because that's kind of been swept under the carpet, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like the Premier League doing what the Premier League does best, really. Like, I reckon AFL players would be jealous of the EPL because
the way
you make a mistake in AFL, they hang you out to dry.
Done,
in the EPL, they're like, "What? Never happened."
Yeah. That Everton one, it was big news for a couple of days, and all of a sudden it's just nothing. So I don't know. They do love.
He's got no media coverage. Like big news. Like even Mendy.
Yeah.
Like he's actually in prison at the moment, and no mention of it. No mention of it.
Yeah. Well, I just remember all the time. Just the Christmas period. Sam Allardyce was famous in saying that the Geordie boys, Kevin Nolan, Andy Carroll, not available over the Christmas period because they're out on the devil's dandruff.
It-
Yeah, just
it-
yeah, oh cool, no worries. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, Christmas, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, no worries. We won't see them because they're living their best life.
it is totally crazy how like
Yeah,
EPL players are treated. Well, just
yeah.
footballers in
Oh,
general
it's
compared
crazy.
to like AFL players. And it's how the people perceive them as well. Like we love our heroes in the
Mm.
UK as well. Like they kind of get like a special kind of like permission to do stupid shit.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like when a player goes out drinking before the game, no one really cares in the UK.
Yeah, it's a bizarre difference to what it is down here. Like I said, it's almost expected that that happens there, and the you know you got players out on worse than the source, mate. They're on big things out there, and no one really cares down here. You take a snapshot of Zaharakis buying a bloody double cheeseburger from Macca's, and then all of a sudden he gets delisted. Like it's just, you
It,
know,
mate,
doesn't
mate,
look
it's
after
crazy.
himself.
Different world, different world.
Yeah, yeah,
Chris Beach, Joey Barton. Now he's a flog, mate.
yes.
Joey Barton, Rangers signed Joey Barton. I'll never forget his first ever
Oh,
press conference. He said that he was the best player in the league. Like big statement, saying that because I'm playing
ish.
Premier League, I'm obviously the best. And obviously, you want him to do well, Joey Barton, being a Rangers fan. But honestly, tell you what, that guy, something else is Joey Barton.
He
He's
was
not all
absolute
there.
absolute drop kick. I remember, you told a Rangers story there, a West Ham story. So back when we had Kevin Nolan, Andy Carroll, who obviously famous that they're all mates, um, we had Joey Barton signed, still delivered. There's actually a photo gone around of him with a West Ham shirt ready to sign. But the backlash of like social media, everything about West Ham going through signing Joey Barton. Nah, not doing it. Got to lose sponsors, lose all this stuff, and they actually pulled the plug on the transfer. And and after that, he just buried West Ham. He's like, no, I never wanted to go there anyway. I'm too big for them. Blah 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 blah. He was a flog of a human, that man.
Mate, the guy was a complete melt. It's not. I always find it great ball. Surely a goal. Oh my god, Mane.
What was that?
Mane has pulled it. That should have been the routine finish. What
Yeah,
a
he hasn't
ball,
got it.
though.
Yeah, it's a ripper ball. He hasn't got his finishing boots on today.
That was
Oh,
harder to miss than it was to score.
mm,
Because look where Ben Foster is. He's sat on my lap.
yeah, came off his shin.
Oof. You hate them. You hate them when you're trying to side foot it bottom corner
Yeah,
and it comes high off the shin. Jesus. But I remember Joey Barton. I always
yeah.
find it
Oh,
hard not to support a player, but he was one when we signed him. I found it very hard
didn't want to
to
borrow
be
him. Yeah.
excited. And
The
and I'll never forget when he went obligatory crazy with Mark Warburton, as you
yeah,
knew it was inevitable that he'd chin someone in training. Um,
yeah.
the bit that annoyed me the most about Mark Warburton at the time was he was surprised it went pear shaped. Like he acted like, oh my god, Barton's a loose unit. He's headbutted someone in training. Like
Uh,
surprise. Like yeah, bad news. Great call, Beachy. One of the
yeah,
worst
love that.
human beings on the
Yeah.
planet. Mozzle, about the foreign players cap. If you took a young player from a small club, you have to give a player to help. You see, this is another good idea. Like, if you do
Yeah.
sign talent, like I would like to see a big restriction in players in lists as well. I'd like to see an AFL style list in the Premier League because we've only
Mm,
got a minimum requirement. There is no max. So you
yeah.
could have 2,000 players on your team if you wanted. Like,
Well,
I'd like to see
Chelsea,
it limited.
yeah, Chelsea are famous. They've got hundreds of players they've got out on loan. like
Yeah,
ridiculous amount.
if you ever play
Yeah.
Football Manager and you look at transfer outs, it's like
Yeah.
12 pages.
Yeah,
You're like, Jesus.
yeah. But no, I like that. Yeah, there needs. I think there needs to be a maximum on there. Like you said, at the moment it's just a minimum. There's no maximum. You've got players who
Oh,
you got clubs who their second 11's better than some teams' first 11. So, but I do like that idea of if you're going to sign a player from another club to send someone there to help them out. There has things like that have happened before. So I remember when Tottenham signed Scott Parker from West Ham. They sent when they signed him, West Ham in the Championship, and they signed Scott Parker. They sent a player down on loan as part of the deal. I can't remember what was his name. It slipped my mind. I'll look it up. But
Scotty Parker, what a player. I
I
love a
love
bit of
Scott
Scotty
Parker.
Parker.
One of the all-time greats. But yeah, so it has happened before, and I think I really like it. David Bentley. There it is. David Bentley was the player that
The
Tottenham sent
Bent
down,
Dog.
on loan. So it does, and I think that should be more often. Like especially if a big club signs from a championship team or a lower team, yeah, they should have to send someone on loan. I really love that.
I think it's a great idea. Mozzle, you've nailed it, my friend. Mars smokes ganja. Good day to you, big fella. Pom should be Australian of the Year for convincing Terry to shave his hair. Hey, imagine that. A Pom winning Australian of the Year. Imagine that. Taking it out.
I would vote. I'd vote.
Thank you very much for that, Mars. Thanks, Fazz. You nice people. Chris Beach, Barton sending off versus Man City.
Yeah.
That is one of my favourite moments ever. How good was that?
Was that when he was playing for QPR? Or
yeah, do you remember? It's when he my favourite bit was when he got sent off.
Yeah.
And he chops Aguero in the back of the legs. Quality.
Yeah. Great call.
I can't be too harsh, Beachy, because that is how I played football anyway. I reacted like that. So I can understand where Barton's coming from. But yeah, he was a bit of a tit. But I can guarantee you, if I was a professional footballer, I would have done that.
I might just after this, might just spend some time YouTubing Joey Barton highlights.
because I do think it was one of the best. Yeah. It was one of the best. It was one of the best moments. I remember that game 2011 because me and my flatmate, we decided to go on a night out, and it was Monday we both got paid from the golf club. So we pulled our money together. It was £300 and we put it on City winning, and it was paying out like $1.80. So obviously, if you remember that game, City did everything they could to lose that game.
Yeah.
So we went absolutely nuts when Aguero scored that last-minute winner. One of the best days.
Yeah, no, that was a good game. You always, I just looked it up. Is it happening? Oh, heavy.
The commentary on that was amazing, though. That Aguero, like Balotelli's only ever assist in the history of his life.
Yeah,
Aguero's finish.
You literally type in Joey Barton in YouTube, and the first thing is Joey Barton attacks Tevez and Aguero.
Mate, honestly, just watch when he gets sent off though, and he kicks the back of Aguero's leg, and Aguero hits the ground like a sack of turnips. It's absolutely epic. It's the little kick in the back of the leg that I love.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Tim Wilkes, he'd vote for me as Australian of the Year. Cheers, mate. You're a legend.
Love that. He's a good man, Tim.
Saints, the biggest flog in the AFL was Cal Hartigan for the tack on our king. Oh yeah, Harty. He's one of them hated people, isn't he? It's weird because you don't really get that many thugs in AFL like you do in. I think because it's such a physical sport, you can kind of get away with a lot more, can't you? Like we remember the EPL moments where someone's thrown a punch or
Cantona in the crowd.
That was awesome. That
Yeah, I
karate
rated
kick
that.
in the face.
Yeah,
Beachy, what
good
are you
man.
saying here, Beachy? If you would have had reasons batting on the. To be fair, when I played, I would just kick someone for no other reason than they were wearing a different colour shirt than me. Like I didn't discriminate. I remember actually playing my mate. One of my best mates was a centre back, and I was a dickhead to him all the time. And I actually upset him that much. He didn't speak to me for 2 days. Like he was actually that angry, doing all the old things like nipping him under the armpit in the
Yeah.
corner, standing on his big toe. I
Oh,
think
mate.
I used to do this thing as well where I used to lick your cheek.
Oh, yeah.
And he literally hated me. Like he had 2 days. Said he had to have 2 days because he wanted to nut me, and said that he didn't want to play me ever again. So yeah, I was a bit of hard work to play.
Did your job, but that's the straight from the Fazz book of plays. That one that's stepping on the foot during a corner. Oh, sorry,
Mate,
as the ball comes. Oh, sorry,
how
mate.
much does it
Didn't see you.
hurt? How much
Yeah. Oh,
does it
man.
hurt as well?
Yeah. No, it's
Worst feeling in the world, studs in the big toe, honestly.
sorry, mate. Didn't see your foot there.
I used to
Yeah.
like doing it, as well. When you tangle with each other
Yeah.
and the ref comes over and says, "Look, boys, can you separate?"
Mm.
Like, I liked as he was talking to you to step back on your toe.
Yeah.
And then be like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." Like,
Yeah.
just done it deliberately there. But
Yeah.
the
No.
old, "Oh, I'm sorry.
It,
Sorry."
it's a game of chess, really. When you think about it,
But,
it's just
like, honestly, just anyone who hasn't played football or had the nip under armpit, just get a mate to nip you under the armpit
yeah. Oh,
and realize how much it fucking hurts.
yeah. No, it's no. You get little bruises under there. But just before Tim W posts up before, he's a really good bloke. On Twitter, mad West Ham fan. Like to communicate. We talk a bit of West Ham stuff. So really good bloke. So
We love
anyone who
Tim.
wants, yeah. So jump on Tim W. He's a really good bloke. Carlton
Mate,
supporter, West Ham.
he's quality bloke. And Mars
Yeah.
asked the question, how do they have unlimited list sizes? Well, it's because they're privately funded. So basically, if you can afford wages, sky's the limit, isn't it?
Have who you want, yeah.
like, as long as you can pay the wages, like theoretically, you could have 1,000 players if you had the money.
Yeah, you could. Well, Newcastle, they could sign the whole league now, can't they? If they wanted to.
Yeah, because I think from memory they've got to have 25 names to play. That it's unlimited under 21s, but like they do have to have a squad size of 25 that can play, which is for the window.
Yeah. So and you don't have to register a player who's under the age of 23, I think.
Yeah, 23. And if they've been trained by the club, so there's all those stipulations. But theoretically, you could have 1,000 players.
Yeah.
But as long as you can pay the wage. Mozzle backing up. It allows clubs like Sunderland to get a cult here an opportunity to revive the comp. Yeah. Mate, we agree. I think I'm with you. I'd like to see a lot more. I hate, United have got the deal with Antwerp. City have got the deal with PSV where they send their players out. I'd like to see that banned and only be domestic.
Yes. Agreed. Your feeder club should be a domestic club. Because, like an Ipswich or something like that. Yeah.
Because, and you think as well, all these clubs have teams in their locality that, because soccer's so big in the UK, like you look at West Ham, they've got Leighton Orient, on their doorstep.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you send your players there? Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And then you can keep an eye on them too. Sending them halfway across the country.
Like you look at Manchester, both Manchester clubs, you've got Oldham around there, Salford around there. You've got a lot of clubs a stone's throw away from them. And it kind of works out when you think about it even more that they're in every league pretty much.
Yeah.
So you've got levels.
No, you're not wrong. You just like the London-based teams. It's just you could send them in. There'd be clubs from League 2 all the way to the Premier League that you can just send your players to. I like it.
I'd like to see that, and I agree. Sunderland, what a fall for grace.
Oh man,
We're just talking about that. Like,
sad.
you think of all the teams that were in the Premier League and where they are now. It is scary, isn't it?
It's sad. It's just sad. Um, you know, I think the Sunderland story is a very sad one. We've kind of gotten over it. I think as a population, everyone's just forgotten, and now Wigan's the new sad story. But I don't think I don't think it's getting the media coverage it deserves. To be honest, everyone's concerned more about United signing Ronaldo, for example, who's on more money a week than what Derby and Wigan and all these clubs have, as a club. And it's just sad. The fall from grace from Sunderland. They were a good club too. I really liked them.
Oh, I mean, I think what makes it even more sad as well, if you actually go back through it, is that Newcastle, their biggest rivals,
Mm,
are now probably going to be top four in the Premier League in the next couple of years.
yeah.
Oh, and Sunderland are going to be languishing in the
Oh,
bottom halves of the Football League.
yeah. Yeah, and sports in my opinion, sports all about rivalries. That's what makes it so brilliant in all sports. It's like we all love the fact when we'll use the AFL example. We all love it when Collingwood are no good and all that. But the reality is, you want your rivals to be good because you want to beat them when they're good. No point, no point beating kicking a sick dog when they're down. Like you want to beat your rivals at their best, and now Newcastle have to fabricate a new rivalry because they'll never see
That's
Sunderland again.
Cannavaro.
Oh yeah, is it?
He heard me.
Jeez.
What's he doing?
Maybe he's got some shares in the club.
Is Cannavaro signing for Watford?
Jeez
No, I
Louise.
agree with you. No, I agree, and I think it would be. I think it's something that needs to happen, doesn't it? Sooner rather than later, that we kind of help these clubs because the rivalries are what it's all about, aren't they? Like the
Yeah,
rivalries
yeah.
without it. And it leads me on to this question from Mars. Is it as violent as made out in the movies? It is indeed. When I was a little boy, I used to be a spotter. So I was about 7. I used to be a spotter for my local team. I used to be on my BMX. I had a walkie-talkie, an army walkie-talkie. I used to get paid £1 and I'd be able to drink beer in the working man's club. And I would call them when the away teams got off the train so they could get a bit of a touch up. So it's
The
not as bad as the movies make out. Like it's not as regular as like you're not going to
every
get
game.
knocked out going into the pub.
Yeah.
You'd
Well,
have to go looking for it, and it's organised as well. So you got to remember, it's two parties agreeing to do this. The way a firm works, it's not like they go out to someone's house and kick the crap out of them. No one not involved gets mixed up with it genuinely. It's a very freak situation when someone who's an innocent bystander gets involved in it. But yeah, it is a part of life. It's not as bad as it was when I was a kid because now they've brought in life bans. So if
yeah.
you're having a fight, you are banned for life. And that's a big punishment for these guys because to fight for your
It,
team,
it's their life.
that's
Football's their life. You
like
know.
these guys like it more than their wives, their
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. My late grandfather was the reason I go for West Ham, and he'd tell me all the time, like he would spend money to go to football rather than put food on the table because that's what it was. He would working class man. He would spend his money, and he was a part of all these. I remember sitting down with him not long before he passed, and we watched Green Street Hooligans, and I said, "Oh, Pa, is that what that's is that what it was like?" He's like, "Nah, mate, these blokes are soft compared to what it was like." So so yeah, the big Hollywood movie there, but yeah, he'd tell me the stories. But the football is it is just their passion, and and it still happens today. There are people. It's so expensive to go, ridiculously expensive. They would literally their wage would be put towards going to football. They would rather not eat for that night or the couple of nights, just so they could go to watch their team play. It's beautiful, really, when you think about it.
Mate, it's crazy. And you think as well, like Chris here talked about the old firm.
Mm.
Mate, like, yeah, I mean, like if you walk in the wrong part of Glasgow in a Celtic shirt, you're probably not seeing the next day. But I will put a caveat to that. You'll know that though. Like you'll know
Yeah.
that. Like if you get glassed and die at an old firm game, you're a clown.
Mm.
You've probably asked for it because you just
Yeah.
know the pubs you don't go to, the areas you avoid as your fan. And genuinely as well, these firms as well, this is a common misinterpretation. They know if you're a foreigner by your
Yes, I think
accent.
that's the big one, because a lot of people, they say the things, oh, don't wear an Everton shirt at a Liverpool pub or whatever. But if you're a foreigner, they don't care. They actually welcome it. That's the thing. They actually they're lovely people. All my family's Pommy, mate. They're lovely people, and they that it is a bit of a, like you said. I agree with you. You're asking for it if you're going to get in that situation and you know about it, then you're asking for it. But the reality is, you know, it is a bit of a myth saying you can't be a foreigner and wear a shirt in a different, because as soon as you start speaking, they know. Like, people aren't idiots.
Mate, I'm with you. Like, I mean, like, if there's certain areas, man. Like,
Mm,
and like, I remember I had a girlfriend at the time. She was foreign in the UK. We went to an old firm game, and she had a Rangers shirt on, and she went to the wrong place, and it was actually a Celtic fan who
mm,
obviously realised she wasn't local and
mm,
actually directed her to the right area. Like, it's
mm.
not as bad as people
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it is. It's not like that, like genuinely they know who their opposition are. So, and especially nowadays, I mean, in the 80s it was probably a bit different, but we're talking nowadays. I mean, I know a couple of people who are involved in that in the UK, and like now it's social network, it's all pre-arranged and stuff like that. Like
Mm.
it's weird things. It might sound real weird to an Australian as well, but to me it's normal because it is a passionate. It's like being part of a tribe almost, isn't it? To a pond.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the other thing as well that's very different to, like, Australians, and you've definitely would have seen this a lot, especially on Twitter. Um, the brutal. Oh,
Hat
that's
trick for Firmino, and
yeah.
it's
Every
I
time.
can't. Oh, piss off with your crap celebrations,
Yeah, that's
Firmino.
rubbish. That's rubbish. But as I say, like, you see on Twitter, like, just the attack from supporter to supporter. I mean, you see it with the Carlton supporter group. Like, we attack each other more than we attack other supporter groups, and it's bizarre. You just don't see that, and I think maybe that's something creeping with social media. But you just don't see that in football. You generally a united front, like, where with Australian culture seems to be, oh, we'll just attack each other. I don't know. It's a
I'm
bizarre
with you.
thing.
I mean, there's a few things that I'd change. I mean, like, I always find the weirdest thing about football to soccer is you sit together. Still blags my head to this day.
Yeah, yeah,
Still blags my head that I can sit next to a Richmond fan.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But
We should
so
start a
that's
firm. We should start a
yeah.
Carlton firm.
Yeah, mate. I
I've
think
got the haircut for it.
I think I piss off enough Carlton supporters on Twitter. I don't. So,
Carlton versus Carlton firm.
oh man, oh man. You just gotta scroll through some of the things. Oh, I just get buried sometimes. All right, like, so if Tim's still
Oh,
on, he'll vouch for that.
mate, there's nothing better. I've got to say, Carlton fans,
Yeah.
we're very passionate against each other and ourselves. It's one of them wonderful things about being a cat. It is a minefield. I mean, obviously, I put my face to a lot of things I say, and I've got
Yeah.
to say, like, I would say I get more abuse from my own at times than
Yeah.
I do the
Oh,
opposition.
mate, just one piece of advice to anyone who's going on to it: do not mention Lockie Plowman. Don't do it. don't mention Lockie Plowman. That's just
It depends. It depends. If you're like me and you're a tortured soul, I enjoy the abuse.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. But look, that's full time, 5-0. We were well off with our predictions. So thoughts on Ranieri's first outing?
Well, I mean, it's probably the worst first game, isn't it? Really, I mean,
Yeah.
if you've just taken that job of a team that was struggling prior, and you get Liverpool, you're not best pleased, are you? Let's be honest.
No, you're right. But yeah, look, I think we said at the start, we both agree they've got the players. Are they one of the? They're obviously going to be a contention to get relegated. Watford. It's about what they can do against the teams in and around them. Then on to Liverpool. I mean, it sounds a bit odd, but they're a bit of the quiet achiever at the moment this season. I think maybe a lot of the media narrative around obviously CR7 and obviously City and all that. I feel like Liverpool are just going about it quietly, and they'd be top of the league now. So yeah.
They're a side as well that I think. I think Liverpool. One of the underrated things about them is this year they've got the fans, and anyone who's ever been to Anfield,
Yeah.
like I've been there a few times. I don't know how you can ever lose at Anfield, because honestly, their crowd it's something I've never heard. Like they suck the ball into the goal. It's an incredible atmosphere. So I think that's going to be a huge part of it as well for Liverpool. That's an understated effect.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. The remaining games tonight. What's the big one? Leicester, Manchester United's probably the big one tonight.
That's the one everyone should be watching. I mean, it's a tough call because I've got Rangers as well, so I'll be watching it on dual screen.
Yeah, love that.
I'll be doing the one.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's it from me and Fazz tonight.
Yep.
Much love to everyone who's joined us. We'll be back next week with the Friday kickoff, which I haven't got a clue what it is.
I'll let you know right now. We'll tell you as you're saying your goodbye. So that the kickoff next week, there is the Chelsea Norwich. So another
we've got a good game.
Another blockbuster.
we got a good game though. We got two good games. So thank you very much, everyone watching. Big shout out to you, and we'll see you next week. Much love.
Awesome, pleasure.